Hello and welcome to Almost 30 Podcast.
Welcome to the show. It's Lindsay and Krista, best friends in real life.
In real, true life. Today, we have an episode on subconscious reprogramming, Kabbalah, access consciousness, deeply spiritual with my teacher, Michael Ocher, who I've been seeing for probably over a year now. And I'm excited about this one. I actually want to have him back on. Usually I don't like to share my teachers with people because I want to have a little bit of privacy and I want to be able to book them and book them easily. But I've wanted to have Michael on for a really long time, and his work is just so interesting. And I know that we've wanted to have more sessions of Kabbalah and access consciousness and theta healing, which he does. So it's Kabbalah, access consciousness, and theta healing are things that I don't think we've ever talked about.
No.
And access consciousness and theta healing, I'd actually never experienced before him. So it was just like a perfect time and just like such a fun, interesting conversation that we did, because you've seen him virtually.
Yeah, I saw him virtually.
So virtual sessions are really good, but when you do in person, he does something that you do in access consciousness called bars. And bars is basically touching specific points on your skull.
Okay.
And by touching these points, it's almost like EMDR. So the energy between your fingers creates like a sensation that actually causes like a recalibration in your field. So he'll be touching specific points on your brain while you're bringing up things, like limiting beliefs that you need to work through. So as an example, I'd be like, I'd say, I have to work really hard to make money. He'd be like, okay, like, why do you feel like that? That's a limitation. And then you kind of like go deeper and deeper to all of your things.
Yeah.
And you realize what's so fascinating is you realize how many limitations we put on ourselves. Like so much of our speech is a limitation. It's like,
what's an example?
An example is like, so I don't think I'm going to be able to meet Sam. I have to meet Sam this afternoon. I don't think I'm going to be able to meet Sam. It's like, okay, why is that? And it's like, what if you could? Like, what if you could another way? What if you could make it happen? Like, even in today, it's like, okay, so I'm tired this morning. Why, like, what if you weren't tired? It's like being tired is a limit. Being, like time, it's just, it's so interesting. And so doing this kind of work really kind of breaks through all of that. And then having the bars is what they call it when you do in person. It repatterns your brain in a way where sometimes I'll leave sessions and I don't even know what we talked about.
Wow.
I'll be like, I will be driving and I'm like, I actually don't have access to find that thought in my mind again.
Cool.
It's actually weird, because what I'll notice is my ego or whatever part of me will try and find the thought again.
Okay.
I've actually been having that recently, where yesterday morning I was talking to my friend, and before we got on the phone, something happened that annoyed me. And then I was on the phone with her and I kept trying to find the annoying thought again. I noticed my mind trying to find the annoying thought I could think about that annoying thought. Isn't that wild?
Dude, I know exactly. I think I don't know the science behind it. I had this yesterday, except I remembered the annoying thought and I was thinking about it for an hour straight while I was doing so many things. So when our nanny first started working for us, I told her she couldn't wear perfume for obvious reasons. Hello, if you listen to Almost 30, you know this.
I'm obsessed.
Hormone disruptors. It's a long story.
That's real.
And she has started wearing it again. I haven't said anything, but it's so intense lately that like when she comes into the house, I smell it. And then at the end of the day, Mav smells like it. And I have to like give him a bath no matter what. I don't like to give him a bath every night. Like we don't need to give him a bath every night, but now I have to because he smells like perfume. And if you're with my son 40 hours a week, that's a lot of exposure. And also I'm very sensitive to it. I even tell Sean, I'm like, can you please put your cologne on at work and then come home and take a shower? Like I don't want to be, it smells quote good, but I'm like, I don't like that, whatever.
Gives me a headache.
So I was thinking about it for an hour. I'm like, how am I going to say this to her?
Totally.
And I was like, what am I going to say in person tomorrow? Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, I'm the mom, like whatever. Like I have the right to say this, blah, 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 be in your power. And then I was ruminating for an hour and I was annoyed that it was just this single thought in my brain. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to text her.
Love it.
I don't have to have an in-person conversation. I can just text a simple text. Hey, can we return to like being fragrance free? I'm just like finding myself really sensitive lately. I know it's a niche ask, but I appreciate you understanding. Love it. Liked it, and we've moved on.
And no
No
thing.
fragrance today.
Love it. There you go.
But it was funny how it took me down. Like that thought was like, I was so, I was mad. I was like frustrated.
Of course.
I was making it so much bigger than it needed to be.
This is the thing. This is growth. Is that now took an hour before you texted and communicated?
Yeah.
Before it might have taken like a week.
Totally.
Or like it would have taken you talking to 5 people about it.
I know, my therapist, my husband, you.
Exactly. And getting like backup and like,
I know.
And then it's like, no, I was thinking, I had that recently where it was like, there was one thing I just needed to say. And I was like, no, babe, we're not going to waste our time ruminating. We're just going to say what we need to say. Even yesterday, there was someone that was mad about us rescheduling the podcast. And it kind of just, it had a little tinge in I gave it a little tinge in my field. I was like, oh, that's annoying. And, but I was like, I'm just going to text them right away. Honor and acknowledge their annoyance, apologize, and just make it right. And just reschedule. It's like, no, I'm actually unavailable to be annoyed about this for longer than a minute.
100%.
And just like own it and apologize. Yeah, it's probably annoying. I'm sorry. I can imagine. Great. Let's move on. From this thing. Like
it's, and even in like romantic relationship, but this is my work forever. Even like with us, where like it's my work to say things, the truth, my truth in the moment, and just be honest and whatever. I literally have to remind Sean, I was like, this is what I'm practicing always and forever. Like, I need to say the thing. And he's like, he does that. But I have to remind him so he holds me accountable. Because I still have the part of me that's like, I'm just going to swallow it and forget it. But it's so much better.
I had that this morning. We were at yoga. And we were like in poses. And before we left, I'm like, I'm so in love. I'm so happy. And then I'm like in downward dog. I'm like, remember when he said this thing last night? It's like, do you think he's still going to love you when you're older and like da-da-da-da? Like he was like complimenting me. And he was like saying this stuff about me. And I was like, yeah, but what about when you're older and you're not attractive? What about, you know what I mean? Like, and I just was like going on. I'm like, you should really, I was like, you should really ask him about what he really meant when he said this thing. And you should really like, dude, I am like, honey, my work is speaking my truth. And I do need to always kind of run it through the filter. Because I'm like, of course. What is the point of this? Like,
of course. Is this my own work?
Yeah. Because for me right now, I still have a fear part that is hypervigilant, watching everything, being like, what is this about? What does this mean? What is this like?
Totally.
Everything is like a potential threat. And it's like, I need to like, obviously my goal is to ask for clarification in the moment. That would be my number one goal. So the thing he said last night at dinner, to be like, in the moment present, do you mean this by this? Or what do you mean by this? Or, like, and clear it like as you go rather than like have the processing, but for real.
Totally. It's deep work.
I mean, that is deep work. That is deep work.
But I feel so much better because here's my thing, and I really believe this. And we've talked about this on the show and have had experts on, just this idea that the body keeps a score. And I really believe that like over time, if I'm to swallow things more often than not, like I'm going to manifest it in my body.
For sure.
Down the line.
For sure.
I've seen that.
That's why I was fat in my marriage. I wasn't fat, but I just, I was just keeping a lot in.
You're just eating a lot of
Dude,
words.
I just was like going to Erewhon and eating 3 desserts on my way home to like stop myself from like talking about the fight we had 4 days ago that we haven't talked about since. I'd get stonewalled for 4 days.
Oh my God.
No, my sister, or not, someone that I knew dated someone. Not my sister. Wink, wink. And he had like a really fat double chin. And I think it was because he stuffed back all of his anger.
Oh, wow.
When I met him, I was like, this is an angry man. No one else would know. They're like, he's so nice. I'm like, he has a lot of anger in him. And it's because it's stuffed physically in his throat. And this is why he has a double chin. And he was a thin person.
Wow.
Because it gets all right in there.
Anger's also... Anger is also like down at the root too, like colon clenching.
Yeah. Is it liver as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, anger is liver. Yeah.
But I do remember like a colon cancer linked to
Oh,
like
interesting. I could see that too.
unprocessed anger or something.
Yeah. Like
I don't
clenching
know.
your butthole.
I have no idea.
Just because you're angry.
All right. How did we get here?
Michael. Okay.
He's tracking.
Yeah,
He knows.
literally. Michael's my boy. So Michael, again, I met him at the Kabbalah Center in Los Angeles. I've been working with him for over a year. And he's just like an incredible teacher. I love him so much. And you can get one-on-one sessions with him on his website as well. He teaches Kabbalah, Access Consciousness, and Theta Healing. So this is a really deep conversation about limiting beliefs, about breaking through fears, about some of the work that we've done together. And I think if you're really interested in subconscious reprogramming and spirituality and really breaking out of your old patterns and thought processes, this is going to be an amazing episode for you. His Instagram is Michael Ocher. It's Michael and then Ocher. That's Michael Ocher on Instagram. You can tell him I sent ya. And he's going to be teaching in my mastermind next year.
Ooh, fun.
I know, it's going to be good.
That's a good one.
I'm excited.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the other side.
We love you guys. Enjoy. So today we have my teacher. Talks a lot during sessions about himself. Takes up a lot of space. Pretty shysty.
Such a Leo.
Such a Leo. No.
No.
Yeah, we've been working together for, I'd say like 6 months now, since the beginning of the year.
More intensely, but
Yeah.
it's been a year.
I think a year,
Yeah.
because I think there was part of that process where I was going through my Kundalini awakening, and then we were doing sessions every single week. And I say that with jest. I probably, it was like insane. I say that with jest and truth. And then, so I was having my own awakening, and then we were having sessions every week. And I honestly was like, I had to take a second because it was so much that we were working on and that was coming through. And for anyone listening, can you share a little bit about your process and sort of the way you work with people? Because I even going into our work, I didn't really even understand at all. And now I understand from my experience, but I don't even really understand from like the highest level. And I see you all the time.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me.
Mhm.
It's a pleasure. You're
Mhm.
amazing.
Mhm.
Just to give you credit.
I'm his favorite.
You are.
It's
You're
actually
freaking
very
incredible.
obviously true.
A legend. And so what I do is I discovered they have basically like a gift and an ability to look into people's subconscious, to look into what beliefs you have on a subconscious level that create your reality. Because your reality is not created by the external factors, it's created from the inside, from your point of view. So your point of view create your reality. And through all the things that I learned and all the things that I put together, I'm able to, if a person wants to start discovering what kind of points of view they have on their subconscious level that are much stronger in creating their experience. And they even say it's 86,000 times stronger than your conscious beliefs, right? And they're not so easy, you're not so aware of them, right? They're like lurking underneath. But once we start to do the session, what my goal is, obviously the person chooses what they want to work on, right? It could be continuous. I have people that I work with continuously, monthly. But the goal of the session is to create a transformation, a change, and an awareness, and to connect the person to a place that they actually understand that they get to choose their points of view. That's like the goal, the deep goal of the session is to help person get to that place where you are aware that it's me who's holding on to the belief that, money is the root of all evil. All men are assholes, something like that, which you might not be having it on your conscious level. You might have the opposite on a conscious level, right?
Like so many people are like, I want love.
Exactly. I want a relationship. I want love. I want, etc. I want money. But then when you dig in, you start to see that there is a lot of limitations and opposing. Now, if you have that opposing point of view, what you're creating is the opposition. You're creating a reality where that thing is pushed out of your life. So you're going to push all the man, all the money, all the healing, all the consciousness out of your reality because you believe that money is going to ruin your life. A relationship is going to ruin your experience. For me, when I started doing this and I started to work on myself, one of the big beliefs that I found is I believed relationship is like a prison.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why no relationship.
So many men.
Yeah.
Dude. Y'all in your prisons, dude. I said that the other day to my boyfriend. I was like, I just want to make sure I'm not on the opposition of your freedom.
Right.
Like I'm being positioned right now in the opposition of your freedom, and that's not true.
What do you mean?
Like they're just, let me just say that and you continue.
Okay.
All I'm saying is let me just a little too much right now. Let me just say that and you can nod. Just nod.
Fine.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you,
Because I knew you
Krista.
were trying to go into that. Don't try and break down my beliefs right now.
Right. Well, one of mine was it was really intense and it was very strong, that I believed that being in a long-term relationship with someone that I'm gonna appreciate and love is gonna be a prison. So once I changed it is when I actually started dating my wife, and we progressed into becoming much closer. Before that, it was like, okay, we'll date for a few months, we'll hang out, etc., but nothing would congeal. And I started to realize, okay, there has to be something deeper, and obviously the exploration and defining of it was really beautiful also, like to see the past life experiences, etc., that led me to it. But it's when I owned it and when I fully said, okay, you know what, I'm willing to let that limiting belief go. Now it's time I want to create something bigger. I want to create something, I have a craving for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm ready to sacrifice this limiting point of view in order to create something greater for me in the future. So I had to go through that, because it does feel like a sacrifice, because you're not going to hold on to a belief unless you believe it serves you.
Mm-hmm.
That is a must. We're not stupid. We do stupid things, all of us. But if we choose a point of view, if we choose to operate from a certain point of view, you believe it serves you for some reason, either to give you security, either that's what you're used to, etc. But there is a kind of like a benefit, to it.
Yeah, I think even working with you has given me I'm such a better coach because of it too, because then you can really see because it's just like, I didn't know in all of my thoughts how limited I was. And when you really kind of start to speak, you're like, that's a limit, that's a limit, that's a belief, that's a belief. And then you can kind of see it in other people. And I think what's helpful for people, even at the baseline, is to think, if you want something from your life, relationship, success, abundance, money, why don't you have it? It's like, what is creating this experience of why they have it? And then that's when people fill in the excuses and fill in the stories. So when people start to do that, like, they have such a deep belief that those are true, their experiences, their stories, like whatever. How do you help them to see that they're not, or how do we believe that those aren't true?
Well, first is actually the discovery, like the exploration. Like, you got to get to what that limiting belief is.
Yes, very good. Yeah. How do you get there? Yeah.
I usually use theta healing meditation and also access consciousness, which is an incredible modality, which is all about change. So it just like accelerates this process like crazy. Also, obviously, experience and using your own psychic ability and trusting yourself. Usually when I learned it in the beginning of when I started doing this, when I got the sense of, I can't say that to this person, that's what they came to the session for. So I realized I'm obligated to say that, because it was so uncomfortable for me to tell this person, well, you know what, maybe you actually hate men. Is that a truth for you also, right? And when I started to go beyond it and I realized, no, my obligation, that's what the person is coming for. And I have to go beyond it. So that's when you start to explore. And there is a cognitive dissonance in terms of that you could have both. You need to be open that you want love, but you also can't stand something, right? It's not a contradiction, right? It's the actual process of discovering makes it really interesting. And why I love what I do is to find out, what kind of limitation do you have about it? Like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe you made a vow, never to have a long-term relationship. Maybe you made a vow to hate men or women, etc. Like, it could be really wild. But the first part is definitely the discovery of it. The way that I do it is I really let the person speak, and I use an ability where I pick up energetically that something sounds a little bit heavier.
Voice change is so
Yes.
huge. Voice and body language change is so huge.
Totally.
Yeah. People will get small, or they'll be like, yeah, they'll in their head. Like that is so key.
Yeah. You once you start to do this, you know that the person will tell you what that it needs to be changed if you're open to it, right?
I feel like that's when you know they're going into a story, or there's something that's like not
Very true.
alive.
Yes.
Like when something's alive, there's a different experience of the body, of the mind, of the emotion. When people are in the story or the track, I always call it tracks, like one of the tracks of their beliefs that they continue to run in their life, there's just a completely different deadening of energy and body language and voice than when people are like alive with something.
Yeah.
During our first session, do you remember our first session?
100%.
What do you remember about it?
You have an incredible ability to guard yourself psychically. And I'm like, you're not letting me read you or do any belief with you.
You're like, literally, we were like 10 minutes in, and I was kind of cruising through my day. I don't even know what was going on at that point, but I do a lot of sessions all the time, and I was like open and available for you, but not really. You know, I was kind of like, okay, whatever.
You were like from a distance. Like,
I was
let me see what you're doing.
I was like, I'm logged on, but I'm not.
Yeah.
And you were like, you have a wall up. And I was like, I don't know if you guys know, my kink is for someone to like call me out or like say, like, I just was like, oh yeah. And I did. I was like, oh yeah. I don't know if I dropped it though that time.
You know what was great, because I picked it up and it was one of those things that I don't want to address it because she came to the session. So why am I going to tell her that you're actually closed off and you don't want to do the session? And once I did, we actually did the session about that.
Yeah.
Which was incredible.
Yeah.
Because then you start to look into, okay, what makes you, not secure enough, not strong enough in yourself that you need to protect yourself. So that was the beginning of the session, and we got to some stuff. So you can always use really any limitation as a stepping stone. Really anything. That's I think also another key and really exciting when you do this work on belief and in general in life, is not to look at your limitations as a wrongness or something bad, but to look at it as a great stepping stone to your potential. It's not a limitation. That's why. So when you're hiding from it, when you're trying to put up a wall of being perfect and I'm so great and I know everything, etc., you're actually limiting yourself instead of being open. Wait a minute, like one of my things is I'm a Gemini and I love to be a know-it-all, right? So for me is to be like, wait a minute, what else is there? What else is possible? I don't know everything.
Yeah, I was thinking through our sessions and some of the themes, like just to provide examples for people, and kind of like, I think I'm a representation of the collective consciousness of almost 32. What have been some of the themes that have come up for us? Fraud patrol?
Fraud patrol.
What's big. Fraud patrol?
Fraud patrol is when you're constantly saying that you are not, worthy and deserving to be in your position, right? Which is like, you are a leader, you are someone who inspires people, right? Incredible movement. You're someone who brings energy and consciousness and the word of the creator to this planet, right? But there was a subconscious that's constantly saying, well, I'm not really that. I'm not really that, huge, great, or have that much potential in my life. It was constantly like, and then when you explore it, you're like, oh, well, that's a comfort zone. Because you can't really step into your greatness because you constantly have that pull that says that, well, I'm not, who am I to, to proclaim that I'm an individual who channels consciousness, energy, and light to people. Right? It's easier. It's very much of a comfort zone to be in your limitations. And when you step out of them, it's like, oh, you gotta step up. That was one. That was a big one.
Fraud patrol, I think transactional relationships.
Yeah.
And power.
Oh, wow, you have such great memory. That's amazing. Wow. Yeah. Power was huge.
Power is so huge. I think about power all the time.
Yeah. Power and competition.
What would you say about that?
Well, it's connected to fraud control. It's kind of like what's interesting? It's like an organism that lives. They kind of like live off each other and it changes and you kind of like explore it. And you do give it huge cuts when you're like cut off the energy, but they kind of like all go together. But it was competition, was big, right? Sag moon. So you have a big desire, right? So competition was big in constant comparison.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I'm not like that person. I'm
Yes.
not like that person. I'm not like that person, which constantly sabotages your creations, which is like, it's not relevant. There's no relevance in your life, in your creation, what anyone else in this world is doing, right? So that was big.
I think that's huge. Just to double click on that, for me, that's been so helpful. And even teaching in my clients, it's like, yeah, I think what we do is we're like, why would I do this because everyone else is doing that? Why would I
Yeah.
create this thing because other people have done that? Why would I do this thing because of that? And that's almost like a codependency with life and others. It's like, it doesn't actually matter what anyone or anyone else is doing if you want to do something or if you want to create. Like, it should be inner sourced and
Yeah.
not like in relationship to others or having others dictate what it is that you're doing. I would also notice, I don't know if this is related to competition. Was for me for a long time. People would be like, "Oh, you're an amazing interviewer," as an example. And it would make me sad when people would compliment me because I felt like I am, but then I didn't feel like I was being recognized in it. So it was
Interesting.
weird that while I was being recognized in it, I didn't feel like the world was recognizing me in it. And I
Yeah.
was, you know what I mean? It was almost like this reflection is making me sad because I wish more people knew it. And so it was this weird competition almost where I was like, okay, well, you believe that, but I need everyone else in the world to also believe that.
Right.
You know, and I think it kept me energetically in the not enough of it.
Totally. It's kind of like operating from a lack.
Yes.
You know, you're operating from a lack or from proving other people your worth,
Mhm.
or you're validating yourself through other people, which is a main theme for a lot of people. And instead of, wait a minute, acknowledging that you are a success and operating from that, using that as a source, instead of looking, well, yeah, I'm not as great as, Oprah or Ellen,
Mhm.
okay, well, and how is that going to help you, right?
Mhm.
But a lot of us use that as a source of motivation.
Yes.
That's definitely a source of motivation to see someone. What's interesting is what I learned is, I think this is very beautiful. You can use it as like an energetic shopping. Like, you can be like, oh, well, you know what? That person is so good at what they do. I don't specifically going to use jealousy and like, I want that. But I'm going to use that as an inspiration. I'm going to ask, okay, well, how can I create that? How can I, manifest that kind of reality for myself, or that version of it? But not necessarily that I need that and I need to compare with them and I need to be like them, etc.
Mhm.
That's always going to sabotage and like limit your creation.
Mhm.
Instead of saying, wow, I'm amazing. That's one of the key things in life, right? Is like, you wanna start to get to a place where you every day proclaim and choose that you are an incredible being. You're incredible. Like, that's how you want to operate. You want to look at yourself as the most miraculous, magical, incredible entity in the universe. But you don't need other people to say that or to validate that or compare other people in order to do that. It's a fact.
Mhm.
It's a fact that you choose to operate from.
Mhm.
And then when you start to create, the creation comes more from fun and from like, oh, wow, well, that would be, so fun for me because it's aligned with me, right? It's not because I need to prove anything. Then reality becomes very different.
Mhm.
It becomes less of an oppression of like, oh, I got to squeeze myself, apply pressure to me in order to create it, instead of just relax and do it.
Mhm. When you talk about having like no limits in life, like that's what we talked about a lot. It's interesting because I don't think people realize how much they limit themselves. And I guess consciously people would be like, maybe I don't have limits, but subconsciously they do. But what are you talking about when you're talking about living limitless?
Oh, that's a great question. What does it mean to be limitless? I think what helps is to acknowledge that you're an energetic being, and a conscious being. And the things that you desire are more of energy and consciousness, and not necessarily physical, 1% corporeal 3D things. So that means if we want to create something, if I want to actualize something, if I want to experience something, it's usually an energy that I'm going after, right? Meaning, things that I desire in my life, If I tell myself that's too hard, I can't do that, that's impossible, not for me, no one in my family, no one in my history, no one in my background, no, blah, 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 you are going to create that. You are an actualizer and a creator of all your reality. So the more limitations you put on yourself, and these are judgments of saying, well, that's not going to happen. Oh, I wish that would be, etc. You're imposing limitations onto yourself. We also use the body as a definition of ourselves.
Wow.
Right? So the more you think that you're just your body, you're going to be very limited. Your experience is going to be limited. You're going to induce pain onto your body, onto your being, onto your consciousness, etc. Instead of acknowledging that you're a soul, a being, an infinite being, etc., that has a body, which is a huge gift, and you want to treat it that way, but not to proclaim and label and identify yourself that that's all you are. Because then life becomes very settled. So then you have an endpoint, you have an expiration date, you could get hurt easily, etc. When you start to reverse that, experience becomes really amazing. It's like, wow, I have a body that I get to use, but that's not what I am truly. It's like if most people now believe in reincarnation, that the being goes from body to body, right? But it's like having a car. Like you appreciate your car, you should be grateful for your car, right? It helps you get from one point to another, but it doesn't define you, right? So same with your body. You want to appreciate it. You want to be like, wow, body, you are a gift. You are an incredible gift to me, but that's not what I am at the end of the day. I'm something much bigger. I'm something much bigger, much more powerful, much more potent, much more able, creative, etc. So when you start to limit yourself by having definitive, conclusive points of view about you. I am a man, I am a woman, I am blonde, I am white, I'm blah, 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 whatever. All these things, it's kind of you putting yourself in a box. And the more you put yourself in a box, the more you limit your possibilities and the more you limit your choices. The more you see that as simply as point of view and not a conclusion, not a judgment, then you start to go beyond it. And you're like, oh, well, you know what? I could be an incredibly successful, I could create whatever I want. There's really no limit. There's no limit. But if you impose those limitations, you will see them true.
What's been like, so with reality, it's, if someone was listening and they're like, okay, but my reality is I'm at a job I don't like, I'm in a relationship that I don't feel aligned to, and I don't feel like I have my purpose. How am I creating that reality where I have to have a job to make money? I have to be in this relationship because I've been in it for a long time. Like, to someone that doesn't necessarily have full responsibility for their reality, how do you help them see?
I think step one would be to have gratitude towards you and to say, you know what? Even though these things are not what I want, not what I desire in my future, maybe, but I'm so grateful for this stuff. This is incredible. I've done amazing. Everything I studied, every single modality, everywhere it says, if you don't acknowledge your creations up to this point, where you are right now, and you tell yourself amazing feedback and pat yourself in the back and say you've done incredible, if you don't do that, you're not going to be able to create that well. You're jeopardizing. You're saying that, you're proclaiming you're not a good creator.
Wow.
You're saying you don't trust yourself. You don't believe in yourself. You've done bad. You judge yourself. So you're basically saying you are not good. So you are ready. So the future, it doesn't matter what you're going to do. If you're not going to step into yourself, check in with yourself and say, you know what? I'm amazing. I've done amazing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the shit that I'm in right now. It doesn't matter. I'm still great. I'm still great. And I'm great, and I'm choosing to look at myself that way. And if I'm choosing to look at myself that way, then possibilities open up for you. Then different scenarios can step up and say, you know what? I'm great regardless of a relationship I'm in. So you know what? If it's not really working for me, let me move on. I'm good either way. If a job I'm in is not serving me, you know what? Let's look at what else is possible. Let's go beyond this. What would I love to do? What is so aligned for my being and my soul that I would love to do that would make it a reality where I wake up and I don't work because it's just such pleasure. You
Because
know?
you were in finance before.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even get there, but I started to. That was my yeah.
Dumb.
That was my projection.
Yes. So what did you do?
I was in college, and in college I found Kabbalah.
Good.
Yeah, and after studying for 2 years, I was just like, okay, this is my purpose.
What was the first teaching of Kabbalah that you were like, this shit is lit?
The simplest one was understanding that everything is energy, and there's this force called the light force of a creator that is in everything, everywhere, and the other force is called just a vessel. That's it. The simplicity of that, like teaching, that to look at everything that way as simply light and vessel, energy and vessel, recipient and sharer. Like that simplicity just blew my mind. And also I'm obviously very intellectual, so the story of creation that the Kabbalist basically said the story of the Big Bang before science discovered it. That literally 500 years ago, one of the greatest Kabbalists, Rav Isaac Luria, he describes the story of creation from this point exploding and creating the universe.
From Adam kissing Eve.
Exactly.
Yes.
Obviously.
Under the tree.
and inviting the snake.
Yes. And then the apple.
Yeah.
And then God said, I am. And then Genesis
and
1.
they saw that God is watching with popcorn.
Yes, and he's
like,
mad.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
and
then God's pissed. And then here we are. Original sin was born. How did the Kabbalistics see Big Bang? What was their perspective on how the universe was created?
In very short term, very shortly, it says that there is this infinite force called the light force of the creator that filled everything. And there was no time and space before that. There was no physicality. It's pure consciousness. And it filled absolutely everything, all of existence. And what it did is it created a vessel, a recipient, someone who wants to receive benevolence, someone who wants to receive pleasure, right? And this creation is called the vessel that desires to receive fulfillment. I'm speeding through very quickly, but basically what this vessel is, this space, this reality is called endless world, which means you have a desire, it's fulfilled instantaneously. Because the way the Kabbalists define the creator is a force that wants to contribute and fulfill every single one of your desires instantaneously, right? So every single desire that you had in the endless world, it was fulfilled instantly. And that's the energy of the creator. What happened was the vessel started to experience what's called basically a desire to be the cause, the reason, the reason why this fulfillment is coming. And basically the vessel said, you know what, I have everything, but I don't have the fulfillment of being the cause of it.
Interesting. Okay.
Of being the reason why I'm receiving what I want. I want to be like you, God. I want to be the source of it. I'm always on the recipient. I actually want to experience what it means like, what it feels like, what it means, what it is to actually be the cause of it. It's basically, it's called, the term Kabbalistic is called bread of shame, but it has nothing to do with bread and nothing to do with shame. It's more of our desire to be the cause of the creation of the life and the fulfillment that we are experiencing. And it's amazing that every single one of us actually re-experiences this when we're toddlers. There's a certain time, there's a certain period when every single one of us starts to say no. When you're being fed and you start saying no, and you want to eat yourself, or et cetera. In teenage years, right? You push your parents away, like, no, I don't want anything from you. I want to do it on my own. This is a continuous process of, actually, one of the main reasons why we come here is to undo this this process, right? To actually become the cause. So that's why one of the biggest fulfillments in this universe, in this reality, is definitely receiving everything that you want, right? You are meant to receive, and you want to be open to receiving everything that you desire. However, it's a cherry on top when you also acknowledge that you had a part to do with it. You had a part to play.
I wanted to ask you about desire.
Mm-hmm.
Because in some, I think in some traditions, desire is bad.
Right.
How do you see desire?
Desire is what we are. So if you disregard, or if you don't acknowledge your desire, you're disconnected from yourself. You have to acknowledge, increase, connect to, and respect the desire that you have. It's absolutely essential. We are in essence a desire. You're constantly desiring air. You're constantly desiring, you know, we're constantly desiring consciousness, right? We're constantly desiring awareness. We constantly desire some sort of fulfillment, right? Air, water, these are all fulfillments of the desires that you have. How you fulfill it might be different, but it's never to disrespect it or to close it off. Then you're going to be in a place where you're disconnecting from yourself. You're not really embodying your being.
I remember we did a session. I was in the guest room. I was sitting on the ground, and it was like an unexpected session where I had realized that I had perceived that God had a desire for my life. Do you remember this one?
100%.
To be like live on a farm and like live off the land and like milk cows and like just live a small life. And I don't mean small in a patronizing way.
Mm-hmm.
And live a life that was like simple, simple off grid. And I remember during that session, you reframing and saying, if I desire it, God desires it for me.
Yes.
And that was so powerful for me. Don't wow yourself.
No, but I
just
didn't even think I'm wowing it that you remember.
Wow. Yeah. No, of course. I mean,
that you received it. That's beautiful.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was just like, because it released the shame. And I think so many women and men, people all over the world, have big dreams for themselves, have big desires for their life. And whether that means they're doing what I'm doing, whether that means they're, doing something else. And I just was like, wow, like I am good. And what I want for my life is good. And God it's like the desire was made manifest by God through me.
Yes.
And it just completely liberated me because I had really wrestled where I had that, there's a process a lot of my clients go through where we'll work together and they'll want a big life secretly, but then they'll kind of be like, maybe I just should be happy or, whatever. And they'll kind of like shortchange themselves or like cut off their actual true desires.
Mm-hmm.
Even with women that I work with when we're talking about body transformation, they'll be like, I want to lose 15 pounds, but I should be happy where I'm at. And they'll kind of, both can be true.
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes we use things to sort of buoy the actual truth of the desire. And the truth of my desire is I want a really big life. I want to make really big impact. I want to be a really big presence and prominence in my field and industry. And I have a really just big desire for impact in my life. And, however that comes. And so it was just it was just like such a liberating moment for me. So thank you.
Very true. Yeah, very true. That's why I love this point of view also. The Kabbalistic point of view and Access Consciousness and Theta, they all say you have to honor your desire. Your desire is meant to be fulfilled. It's more about removing the judgments that's wrong and that's right. That presuming that God has, only if you're a farm girl, then he's happy with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that was like, whoa. Like, yeah, also that was helpful too, to be like, the God that I know that is loving and benevolent and all these things only likes me if I do something that I'm perceiving he wants me to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's the God of the old structure of the way I grew up and the consciousness that I grew up in. And I think even on our last session, we were I didn't expect that, but because I'm talking more about God publicly as God's PR person, I'm realizing that there's a lot of layers of my relationship with God that I also need to look at. And a lot of the ideas of God.
Yeah.
Do you remember what we talked about?
Yeah.
What?
The last session?
Yeah. I'm not quizzing you. I just am like, I understand it from a contextual level that I remember being like, whoa, I actually need to look at deeper layers of my relationship with God that I'm missing, that I'm thinking that I have a stronger, more clear relationship than I actually do. And there was layers and things that came through. I was like, oh, I actually have a fear of God, or there was actually like a more fractured relationship than I think is now available for me.
Yeah, well, it was that same point of view that he wants you to be on a farm.
Yeah.
Kind of, that's like, in short, that was it. And also a little bit of a non-past life started to creep in.
Yeah.
You called it out.
Oh, yeah.
You started like, oh, well,
yeah,
you were probably in a covenant or a monastery or something like that.
Where I had the perception that being close to God means I'm alone, and being close to God means I'm limited, and being close to God means I have less vitality and access in life and less pleasure in life. And so it was almost like seeing my relationship to God as opposing to connection, opposing to love, opposing to all the things that I want. And that my commitment to God meant that I lost and meant that I was disconnected.
Yeah. And you have to somehow like hide from him. Like you have to
Yes.
create the image I saw, I remember, was like you facing in one direction and making sure God doesn't like see everything that I do, that I
Yes.
desire, because, you know, he, of course, he doesn't want to fulfill me.
Yeah.
You know, he's very judgy.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't want you to have everything plus some.
Totally. That is very true.
Yeah.
I do, and this might be helpful for the audience, is I do have a very specific list of what God would want for me, and that's what I ask him.
Yeah.
But then there's things that I'm like, I won't ask him that. And it's not like I'm like, God, I need a parking space. You know, I could do that sometimes, but it's like, I would be like, God, I want to serve more. And it would be like the good list.
Yeah.
You know, not like, God, I want a sick motorcycle jacket. You know, like it would just be like, this is what I think God would be okay with me wanting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask him for this. And I'm going to like be clear on this. And so in Kabbalah, I know it's more the creator. Can you talk about how Kabbalah views the creator, some of the teachings related to the creator in Kabbalah?
Basically, we know very few things and define him in very few ways. The way that Kabbalists look at him is an infinite force of giving that has absolutely no judgment at all whatsoever. And that's why the Kabbalists use the term light or light force, because the same way that the light bulb in a room doesn't judge a wall, a person, a sofa, it fully gives to everyone equally. It has no judgment at all whatsoever. It's about the recipient's ability to receive it that changes. But the light force, it gives everyone equally, right? So the study of Kabbalah is more about the vessel, our consciousness, of how do we limit it and how do we expand it in order to receive more of it. But the few very foundational points of view is that it's an all-giving energy that only wants to contribute to you, only wants to fulfill every single one of your desires. And it's not a question of if it will be fulfilled. Every single one of your desires will be fulfilled. The question is when. That's the only question that really Kabbalah teaches. So that's why the stress of how do I do it? Is it going to happen? Is it going to ever happen? Is it ever going to happen for me? That question drops and that becomes not relevant, because you have full trust and knowing that you will receive what you desire. It's not about that. It's about maybe asking a question. Okay, how can I speed that up? How can I actualize it faster? But the doubt, or like, you know, having a point of view that he actually doesn't want you to have that, that's going to be not a pleasant experience, right, in this world, because you're constantly hiding and running from this force. When in reality, by Kabbalistic definition, it wants to give it to you.
With the vessel, talk to me about the vessel.
So the vessel is the other force, basically. There's basically, if you look at everything, there's just very simple ways. It's just light and vessel. Vessel is the recipient, is the one that wants to receive, right? So our desire is a vessel. Our body is a different kind of vessel. Our soul is a kind of vessel. Our conscious is a different kind of vessel, right? We have vessels for different kinds of fulfillment. Now, most of us, we don't have a limit of where we say, okay, now we're good. I'm good now. My vessel has been fulfilled. My desire has been fulfilled. I'm good now. You constantly have more and more and more desire, which is actually what you're meant to have. Because the Creator has an infinite desire to fulfill you. And we want to, and actually are expected to, in this experience, to expand our desire to constantly crave more new things. And it's the key thing is to acknowledge you're not dissatisfied or not grateful for what you have. You want to be in two places at the same time. You want to have so much gratitude, like, holy shit, I'm so fucking lucky to be here now, experiencing this and having the life I have. And at the same time, I want so much more. It's not a contradiction. We should not have cognitive dissonance. You're not being ungrateful by saying, I want more in life. You're actually fulfilling your purpose, your desire, which is to ask for more and more fulfillment.
How do we move from desire being motivated by lack to motivated by something else? Because a lot of times people have desire that's motivated by lack.
Most of the time.
I desire love because I don't have it. I want a husband. I want a partner. I want money, whatever. Like, so
How do you switch it?
Yeah, how do we switch it?
Well, if you look at that you're an infinite being, that everything is meant for you, and in a way it is already yours, then the stress, the lack falls off, right? So if you operate from, that's why I love, this is from Access Consciousness, the point of view that you're an infinite being. You want to operate that you are an infinite being. An infinite being cannot have lack. It cannot have lack, it cannot have missing, it cannot have any of those things, right? You have all of it. And also you need to acknowledge that when you create separation from something that you desire, when you say that I actually don't have it already, you're making sure it doesn't come to you. That's a law of the universe. So if you are desiring $1 billion and you're proclaiming, operating from a point of view that I don't have it, that it's lacking, I don't have it, you're creating a wall. You're making sure it doesn't come. When you're operating from oneness, that I already have every single desire that I have, it's already here. I already have it. My job is to actualize it. My job is to create a vessel to fully receive it. The whole game changes, right? It becomes fun. It becomes interesting. It doesn't become like I might lose or it might not come to me. It will come to me. It's just a matter of how and when. And that's what I'm in charge of.
I love I think this is Kabbalistic, but I think that's what I've gathered is just like the belief that this can only be good.
True. Yeah.
Like that whatever happens can only be good.
It's, you know what, I that's how I've heard it also. I've upgraded it to that I want to ask a question. What's right about it?
That's a good one.
Yeah. That means I am saying that it is good can be used against you. Like if you're in an abusive relationship.
That's interesting.
And you're going to say, oh, this is good.
Interesting.
That's good. My job doesn't respect me. They don't honor my talent and my work and my time, and they disrespect me. It's good. So then you're kind of like limiting your awareness, right? Instead of asking yourself a question, wait, what's right about this? Well, maybe this is an invitation for you to relook at your relationship, to relook at your work, and maybe to choose something else. So just proclaiming, is it good? Yes. It depends on like how far you zoom out.
Totally.
If you zoom out onto everything is great.
Yeah.
Every single experience, every single interaction, every single thing is good. And by the end of times, we will see all of it. It says, like the Zohar writes, it's like our mouths will be full of laughter. Laughter will be like falling out of our mouths. We're going to laugh at everything, at how ironic and everything was just perfect. Every single thing. You're gonna like, how people have a flash before they leave. They see their whole life and they see how perfect everything was, right? So you will have that experience, but it's a choice, of course. You wanna start to create the good for you. That means if that does not align with your desire, if the relationship is not respectful to you, and you're just gonna judge it and say, well, this is for the good by default, might not be true. If you ask what's right about this, well, it could be an invitation for you to move on. Then you're creating more awareness. That's why a vessel, a question is a vessel, and we're here to create a bigger vessel, right? So the more questions you ask, the more awareness and light you're going to receive, right? Instead of being in a kind of dead end conclusions, right?
That Zohar,
yeah.
That Zohar point about the laughter is like, it's so potent. It has its own spiritual consciousness that like is felt in the room.
Yeah.
Because you can tune into that. Like I'm tuned into it. And I was like, that's the most beautiful thing.
Totally.
And I could feel it.
Yeah.
I could feel that.
It's amazing.
That soulful, like my soul's plugged into that consciousness that is able to download that taste of that experience to me, which is very, very beautiful. The vessel building, it's interesting because I think about this a lot with my life and my desires and abundance and love and all of that. And I think about it a lot with my clients where, I'll say the beginning of our podcast journey, we would pitch these really big guests as an example. And, sometimes they'd say yes, but most of the time they'd say no. And now being longer in the journey and having a bigger vessel to handle bigger energies and bigger conversations, all these things, I understand vessel building. And I even understand vessel building in the way of like the lottery. 90% of people that win the lottery, they lose the lottery with winnings within a year.
Great example.
Because they don't have the vessel for it. So can you talk about vessel building? Because I'd love for people to understand this in the way of their life and their path is sculpting them and supporting them and being the vessel to hold what they wish.
Yes. So step one is to understand that we're not talking about a physical vessel.
Yeah.
We're talking about levels of consciousness and different kinds of consciousness that are able to create and receive energy in a more flowing way. For example, gratitude is an attribute of an infinite vessel.
That's a good one. Mm-hmm.
So it means that the more you practice, choose, operate, have gratitude in your system for everything, your vessel will start to get bigger. Okay?
Sorry, say again why.
Because those are more attributes of the creator.
Okay. Yeah.
So what the vessel wants to start to do is to grow and become more like the light force.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be in two places at the same time. On one side, be a recipient, receive, but also on the other, we want to be just like God or creator. So we want to look, even though we don't know so much about the creator, we do know some qualities about him. He is constant. One of his attributes that connect us to him is gratitude, is happiness, is potency, is choice, question, power, patience, kindness, peace, right? Like there's certain qualities of the creator that the more your vessel embodies it, the likeness of form starts to be created, so you're able to receive more of that energy, right? The creator has no lack. He doesn't have lack. He has absolutely zero lack. So when you operate from lack, boom, you created a separation. You created a space, right? So when you say, you know what, I don't have lacks. I know that that's where you start to really work on yourself. And it's an exercise and a choice that you need to start doing, where you start to say that even though I might not feel like I'm full, right? So you don't look at your emotions, feelings, thoughts as a determining factor of that. It's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, you know what? I'm going to choose that point of view.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to choose that point of view because that's a much more potent point of view for my life and existence. Because operating constantly from a lack, what is it going to create for you? It's going to create more lack. You're never really going to be satisfied, right? It doesn't matter what you're going to get. You're going to be on a constant mission to fulfill, but also feel empty. So you want to be like, no, you know what? I'm full. I'm good. I'm good. That's how you want to start your day. You want to start your day proclaiming that I am such an infinite vessel, so full of the light force. I am the light force, actually. That's how you want to look at it. I am the light. One of the great mantras that I learned is you don't say I have, like I have money, I have time, I am money, I am time, I am a relationship, I am love, I am gratitude, right? So you take away that, you want it or you getting it, etc. You just proclaim that you are it. And that way, those walls and separations between you and whatever you desire is going to be broken down more and more and more. And you're going to be invited, and the universe and the creator, whatever you want to call it, are going to tell you, hey, you know what? Do this. That will lead you to that. That will, this choice will lead you to that. So the creation of a vessel starts to happen with a study, right? Obviously, right? Like you want to study it more. You want to know more about what kind of attributes, what kind of consciousness is going to create that for me. A great way also is to jump a step. And if you are like, well, I want a relationship, or I want a successful career, or I want this body, etc., you go into that reality. And that's why you're an infinite being. We all are, because you can step into it. You can tap into that reality and ask yourself, what kind of energy do I experience during that?
Mm.
Like if I have an unlimited amount of finances, what kind of energy do I have?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I have that incredibly supportive relationship, how do I operate?
Mm-hmm. That's why I love hosting retreats, because at retreats, women are able to be in the experience of feeling all the things that they desire, like
Yes.
received, rested, abundant, luxurious, connected, spiritual, soulful, creative, all the things. And then they're able to use that sort of texture and that cellular memory to create it more in their life.
100%.
It's like my favorite. Like I don't think people, I don't need to say that. Like to make my point, I don't need to say that. I was going to say, I don't think people understand. It's like, no. What I want to say is I hope people understand that. Like, it's just been so beautiful to see women experience everything that they want in one week in time so that they can use it for their manifestation and creation after that.
100%. It's essential.
Yeah.
It's essential. You need to upgrade your vessel, teach it, remind it those vibrations, those frequencies, and be like, hey, this is always a possibility for you. Drop those nonsense, drop the stress, drop the worry, tap into it. That's how you receive it more.
Mm-hmm.
You receive it from a full space of peace, of tranquility, of completeness, etc. That's a magnet. That's what's going to attract more things to you, not the lack. Oh my God, how am I going to survive the next day? I need a relationship, or my life is useless, right? So, yeah, that's a key way of doing it.
What would you say? We talked about a few of them, but for people that are newer to Kabbalah, what would you say some of the basic principles of it are?
Few basic principles. So one is that consciousness is everything. Consciousness creates your reality. There's nothing outside of that. There's no reality besides that. Consciousness is the ultimate. Your consciousness is the creator of your reality. That there's an ultimate force, you call it God, you call it creator, you call it universe, that is on your side. It is on your side. It is cheering for you. It wants you to succeed. It wants you to achieve. It wants you to receive. It wants you to get what you want. It's about how much you're limiting it from being a contribution. Now, it cannot necessarily, and it does not want to, and it's actually us who doesn't want to receive it for nothing. But you want to welcome its guidance. So that's why in prayers, I don't like to use a prayer, give me.
Yeah, totally.
Give me my, this, give me that. Guide me.
Yeah.
Guide me, show me, how can I create that in my life?
Yeah.
What can I change? What can I do? What can I transform? What would be, I'm inviting you, I'm allowing you to give me that guidance.
Course in Miracles talks about prayer as communion with God. It's really like the remembrance and reception and connection with God rather than like, because when you're asking forgive me or the list, that's like stating lack or desire.
Right.
And it's like affirming lack and desire to God rather than just like being in the state of connection to God and even in conversation with God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So consciousness, what else?
Being a being of contribution, of sharing. Sharing, but I don't like the word sharing because sharing presumes you need to like physically give something or like give something of you and you not having it. It's more of a contribution. Meaning like you can contribute, we can contribute to anyone at any time, anywhere, energetically, whenever we want. And it does not mean that you lack. You don't miss out when you contribute energy. When you channel energy, when you contribute energy, it gives you more energy. So this point that you want to become a conduit of things in this reality also. You want to contribute to people's experiences. You want to be there for people, right? You want to share. You want to be generous. Generosity is one of the biggest known attributes of a creator. So the more you practice generosity and the more you have generosity of spirit, the more you're going to be inviting that force into your life. So that's essential. And one of the main teaching that comes from my teacher, Rav Berg, that he kind of coined is pause or restriction, which he says that you want to awaken consciousness by pausing in actions, in thoughts, in everything that you do. Create that filament.
That's such a good one.
Where you allow awareness to come in and you stop being a robotic being. You stop being a robotic, monkey that you just operate like nonstop. And you actually pause and say, wait a minute. Like your relationship, that's a beautiful example, your relationship with God, right? And how you look at points of view about God. You pause and you say, wait a minute, is that actually true? If I take in all the components that I have, if I know that it's an infinite force, if I know that it's the universe, etc. Well, yeah, which one is true for me? Like you pause and you allow it to, yourself to choose, right? So this pausing attribute is incredible. Is incredible about you step kind of like aside from your life and you look at your life from aside and be like, wait a minute, what am I actually doing?
I think that's consciousness.
It is. It is.
Like, but
Yes.
the pause is huge because I was thinking about that recently with my clients and I was like, okay, how can I get even more granular about things, to be even more surgical about the way I can support people in understanding things. And it really actually, I was thinking about it, is the pause that is everything.
Yeah.
Because everything.
Yep.
Because the pause creates the choice for different. And without the pause, you have no choice for different. You're in the reptilian brain, you're in just the pattern or the story.
Yeah.
For me, I've gotten pause through meditation. What has been your access to getting pause or finding pause?
Everything, literally. Starting from learning this teaching
Yeah.
some 25 years ago to studying incredible meditation techniques, breath work, theta healing, access consciousness, access bars, like all these things, asking a question. Everything has led me to modify, perfect, and keep perfecting this ability to pause and create awareness in that moment with everything. And it's just so beautiful that you like start to understand that is your whole point of just like to pause and to see, and what am I actually doing right now?
Totally.
And the beauty of it goes not just on the physical actions, right? It goes onto your emotions, goes onto your feelings, it goes onto your thoughts, and goes onto your point of view. The fact that you can pause and invite and ask yourself a question, wait a minute, does this actually serve me? Is this actually creating the reality that I want to have in my future? Your whole reality changes.
I think too, what I found is I'm really grateful for my relationships because those also have given me like a pause,
So true.
you know, and that's why working with teachers is so good. Like yesterday I had a friend staying with me and we've been friends for a long time and she's been talking about this project for years. And last night was the first night I was just like, hey, you're super powerful. You're amazing. You have so much ability and you've been waffling on this idea for years. Like, what is it? What's happening? Like, why are you not making progress on this? Like, and I just like my friends have done that for me. You know, they're like, what is the thing about you and success? Or what is the thing? And I'm so grateful because, you know, we can bring ourselves out of unconscious states, but it's really helpful to have like a mirror. Jenna and I do that all the time. You know, like we have these like certain stories and through lines of our life that run. And we just even laugh because we've been friends for so long because we're like, oh, there's that old freaking thing that we talk about all the time. But it's like having an awareness of having a friend have permission to sort of call you forward in awareness has also been really helpful for me.
Incredibly true. Incredibly true. It's just that's gold. That's like literally 90% of it.
I think that's what's been. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's so much helpful in our work, but it's like, you know, because you're just it's crazy. Like you just don't realize the reality that you're in and the reality that you're creating with your mind and all the levels of it, because it literally feels true for you.
Yeah.
That's why you hold it, is because it feels true for you. And so much of it that you don't see and so much of it that you don't understand.
Yeah.
Before we talk a little bit more about access consciousness, I want to talk about Satan. How does Kabbalah see Satan?
You know what? I want to add to what you said because it's so essential about having someone to talk, especially the not the right person to talk about this stuff, because when you're in your limitations, it's like you're in jail, and a lot of people don't even know what they're surrounded by.
Yeah.
So when you have that incredible gift of people in your life who are actually able to call you out on stuff and tell you or guide you, you know, in any way, shape, or form, it is so important. It's just, you know,
it's so valuable. I think also
so
my
valuable.
friends and I are at a level of self-love and self-anchoring to be able to be met with that.
Yeah.
You know, I think when you're a little less conscious or a little bit less self-loving, you'd be like, you're judging me.
Yeah.
You know, I remember back in the day when I was so much less conscious. Everything was a judgment. You know, you're always like, you're judging me. But it's like now like, oh, like I love you this much and you need to love yourself this much to do this and to see this and to be in this. And I don't want to not become the person I came here to be. I don't want to, that's my biggest fear in my life, for real, to not become the person that I was supposed to be. And I think I'll probably feel that when I have children, to be honest. I think before I thought it was success related, but I actually think that motherhood texture will be what it is. But anyways, and
it will add.
Yeah, it will add. But, and whatever's keeping me from that, what is the belief or the, you know, part of my reality that's sort of in that. So yeah. Satan.
So going
Because
back
the way that people in Christianity understand Satan is different than how you understand Satan.
very,
So in Christianity is Satan,
yeah,
Lucifer, whatever. But it's been interesting in Kabbalah just to understand it totally differently.
completely different. It's not something, if you fully acknowledge and operate from a point of view that the creator is the governing force and nothing is beyond it,
Yeah,
there is no fight of right and wrong.
for sure. 100%.
There's no light and dark. It's all
100%.
light. It's all good. Whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. It's just that,
Mhm.
right? However, going back to the story of creation, which if you can reference it to any point of your life. And what happens is if the vessel does want to become like the creator, do you remember any of that story of creation? If we experience that, right?
Mhm.
Do you remember being in the endless world?
Yeah.
Yeah. Krista does.
Coachella.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It was Burning Man
Burning Man.
2023. No, I don't remember.
We don't. We have what's called amnesia.
Yeah.
We experience
Yes.
amnesia when we come into this world. So
Yeah.
we forget everything.
Yeah.
You don't remember the upper worlds, lower world, nothing. None of that stuff is remembered. And especially when you also start to operate in this world and you're induced and even more limitation is put onto you from your family, from your friends, from society, etc. You're just like a walking limitation, right?
Yeah.
What the creator, when he wanted us, because our desire, whatever we desired, the creator instantly wanted to fulfill it in the endless world. And it does still happen there because it still exists in a different form, right? But in order for us to be the creators, we needed to have a force that will be telling us, you can't do it. You're never going to be able to make it. You're not worthy. You're fraudulent. You are stupid. You are X, Y, and Z, right? Putting on these judgments and limitations on our being. And this force, it's simply a force. Like if you look at a sports game, right? If you would be playing, a basketball game, it's so much more fun when you have someone to play against. That is what our opponent is. That is what Satan is. Satan, literal translation from Aramaic, Satan means opposing. Someone just that opposes you. So it's a force that kind of makes you realize and work for something and earn it even more. It's the one that makes you need to pause and choose what you want to choose in that moment. But technically, this is his reality. He owns this reality. This reality is his. That's why we believe in the physical. That's why we believe in the 3D, 1%, whatever you want to call it. He is the governing force of that. However, your relationship with him is determined by you. And that's why one of the things that I love telling my clients is, if you look at it this way, is to list your limitations. List who is your Satan. What does he specifically tell you? Like, what kind of language does he use? What kind of emotions does he use against you? What kind of feelings does he use against you? He changes what he tells you in different relationships also.
Totally.
Right? You could be a shark in one relationship and a guppy in another one. Right? A lion here and a cat there. Like, it changes. He's a mutable force. He's an angelic force. He's not against you. He's not trying to kill you or destroy you or anything. But he's trying to limit you because that's his job. He was appointed to do that. The big picture, he's only serving to get you to your greatness. That's how you want to look at it.
Yeah.
That's why you want to call him out. You want to be like, oh, I'm having thoughts of depression, of sadness, of anxiety, of doubt. Satan, I see you. Satan, I know it's you. I see you, right? So to call him out is one of the greatest tricks.
Cool.
To give yourself a breakdown, a profile of your Satan. Amazing, amazing way to work with yourself.
Wow.
Right? That's why astrology is helpful. That's why, all of these things are extremely helpful because they lay down the limitations that you might be buying from him. Right? Because
got it. So explain what you just said though.
Meaning Kabbalistically, you choose your time of birth.
Yep.
You choose the time, the location, the position exactly of all the solar system, etc., in order for you to have certain gifts, right? And in order for you also to have certain limitations. So your Satan is going to operate like if you're an Aries, he is going to tell you need to want things now, this way, right now, etc. You're not going to have patience. So for an Aries, by default, to develop patience, to develop pause is an incredible tool. right? Meaning, that's how you want to use
That's beautiful.
astrology,
Yeah,
right?
that's a
That
good
it's
one.
not a
Mhm.
defining of you.
Yeah.
It's to just know yourself better. You're still an
Totally.
infinite being, but as an Aries, as we know, they're just going to be much more impatient.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's how they operate. You know, a Leo is just going to try to boast themselves more onto the scene and be like, I'm the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how great I am? Do you, right? That's their attribute,
Mhm.
right? The more you become aware of it,
Mm-hmm.
it's not, by the way, it's not that you have to stop doing it. It's just simply becoming aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know what? How do I use this to my advantage?
Mm-hmm.
When you do it unconsciously, reactively, you're using it against yourself, right? Like I'm Gemini, and one of the big things that Geminis have, not all Geminis, etc. Not, you know, it's not that black and white, but Geminis have an F word. It's called feelings. So when I started to get deeper into my relationship with my wife, who's a very Piscean,
My sister.
she
My sister.
that's right, yeah. So she started to bring up feelings. Let's talk about feelings, emotions. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I told you
know.
how I feel, and that's it. Like, we're not
Uh-huh.
going deeper. Like, that's it. Leave it
Uh-huh.
at that. Right. So for me, that was like a red flag, which was in reality a green flag, right?
Totally.
But it started to trigger me so much when she started to ask me to invite me to have a deeper connection about what feelings do I have, what
Wow.
emotions do I have. Because a Gemini, not all again, but most Gemini men, they like to just run from it.
Mm.
It's like, I don't want to talk about emotions. Let's just go have fun. Let's go eat something. Let's watch a movie. Let's talk. We can do that, but not to go into the emotional side. Because I presume, my limiting belief was, I presumed if I do connect to my emotions and feelings, they're going to run my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be able to be conscious. I'm going to go wild and just go, I don't know, something.
Freedom thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mutable, Satan being mutable is very interesting. I think it's really good for the audience to think about that. And I was actually talking about that last night in the car with my friend who I was talking to about her situation. And because I was expressing, post book launch in like my kind of like burnout haze, I was watching Love Island like all day. I was working but anytime I wasn't working, I'm talking about this was like a week, but like anytime I wasn't working, I was watching Love Island and I was like, that's fine. And there is a slipperiness of Satan where it was like, I woke up in the morning, I was like, time to watch Love Island, like invitation for Love Island.
Right.
And it's like, okay, like I
Yeah.
know that's not for my greatest good. I don't need to punish myself, but I'm like, that just being like, you worked hard, like da 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 da, you can have that type of thing.
Yeah.
And even with my friend, her Satan was like that she has a lot of time, that she can do it later, that it takes a lot, that like people won't understand. There's just kind of like the voices that she had that was sort of keeping her from her creation of her Satan. And I think it's a really good practice for people to kind of sit and think about what are the ways in which there's a mutability and a mercurial aspect of Satan that can be more slippery than they think and sort of keep them from actually being who they came here to be. And I think as you get more spiritual and more advanced, it becomes even more slip.
It depends. I think you become quicker to call it out.
Yeah.
I start to see, I wanted to say that before,
Mm-hmm.
but then I realized, no, I'm actually much, much quicker.
Yeah, that's
Like
a good
something
one.
that could last half a year, I'm
That's
able
so
to catch
true.
it in, a week.
That's so true.
I'll still go in a rut.
Yeah.
I'll still go into that stupid space of listening
Yeah.
to him, believing him, operating from his point of view,
Yeah.
right? Because that's all he is. He's just providing you points of view.
Yeah, so
That's
real.
all he does. He's not a being with a fork and etc. He just provides you judgments and points of view to feed you, to keep you small.
Mm-hmm.
So I still do it, right? But it takes me, again, relationships help a lot, right? Like I start talking with my wife and I'm like, oh shoot, that we know that where that's coming from. That's BS, right?
It's good to have that shared language with, you know what I mean?
Essential.
It's essential in
It's
relationship
essential,
to have
yeah.
a shared language of your understanding of that. I didn't really realize that until I got later in the game, like of relationship of like, that's a shared view of how I see the world.
Yeah.
And being able to be free in that shared view of my consciousness and my internal dialogue is like essential because I don't want to feel like I have to explain what's on, you know what I mean? What's on my mind. I don't want that extra layer of that explanation.
Yeah.
I want to talk about bars.
Yes. Love bars.
Bars are so crazy. So I've had
Amazing.
sessions where we've done bars where I don't even know what we talked about.
Yeah.
When I leave.
I think that's the best review, by the way.
I
still remember that video you posted. I think that's the best review of bars.
I was like, I don't even know what the beliefs were.
Yeah.
Like I literally, I honestly felt like I was unable to access whatever limiting belief that I had in my mind. And this has happened more than once.
Yes.
Like it had no more life. There was the neural pathway had been filled with golden creator light and didn't exist anymore, like completely gone.
Yeah.
So what is it?
Phenomenal. So one of the main things I use, study, and just appreciate so much is called Access Consciousness. It's an incredible body of work,
They need a
knowledge.
rebrand.
Why?
I've kind of looked into it. I'm like, you guys need a rebrand.
Okay. So let's send them a message.
Yeah. I'm like, I love you guys. It's really powerful, but it kind of like needs a
Make
little
it more
zhuzh.
juicier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Needs pink.
Put it out
Just
there.
kidding.
Almost dirty.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, anyways.
That's funny. I hear that.
Yeah.
But so Access Consciousness is an incredible body of work that I've been using for like 4 years. And it has propelled me to a completely different reality, like completely different reality. The terminology, the tools that they have, the way they explain things is just mind-blowing. And it has basically like 2 parts. It's one part is the teaching, it has a ton of classes, books, courses that you can do, etc. Like really, really mind-blowing. And it also has what's called body processes, which are incredible. And one of the beginner, most basic, but also probably one of the most powerful ones is called Access Bars. And it was channeled by Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, an incredible individual. And he basically channeled 32 points on our head that when you touch them and you just run a simple command, it starts to basically clear the limiting beliefs that you have both in your being and in your physical body. So it's like basically taking out the trash. It's cleaning out your recycling bin in the most powerful way. Just like boom. And really the way you describe it is the best way, is that after the session, you don't have a reference of the limitation that you had before. And it's just incredible. There's so many benefits to it. We use it as a session verbally, right? But there's also a way you can do a session where you're in silence, right? Like a lot of times when me and my wife, we run it on each other, and we could talk, and we can also be in silence because you experience a level of peace, tranquility, and presence that is just incredible. Just your judgments drop incredibly.
There's also the prayer that you say with it. And I've been even doing Pak Pod on stuff.
Yes.
So can you say the prayer in the full and why you use it? And then can you say how people can use Pak Pod just in their everyday?
Yes. So it's called the clearing statement. And you can there's a video on YouTube. Just type clearingstatement.com or clearing statement on YouTube. You can watch the whole thing. It's an amazing video. It is right and wrong, good and bad, Pod and Pak, all 100, shorts, boys, povats, creations, bases, and beyonds. So what did I just say? I said the clearing statement, meaning you can use it to clear an energetic entanglement you have with a judgment. So, for example, when you have a point of view or a judgment, like I'm a failure, I'm a loser, money's bad, women are wrong, etc., whatever you might have, that is a conclusion or a judgment that you have. When you say, could we please destroy and create all of those judgments and all those points of view, when you say the clearing statement, it amplifies your ability to clear it, and it clears the energy. And you can say the whole thing, or you can say, like you said, just Pod and Pak, which means point of destruction and point of creation. And in short, it means the point of where...
the origin of the belief.
Yes, exactly. When that lie was introduced to you and you bought it as true. Meaning it could be in this lifetime, it could be 5 minutes ago, it could be 5 lifetimes ago, it could be 5 trillion years ago. It doesn't matter. At some point, it was introduced into your system. You bought it as true. And when you say the clearing statement, you are basically removing that energy. You're basically completely clearing that energy out and giving yourself an ability to not be energetically attached to it. You might still have a point of view. It's not like you lose it, etc. But it's not going to be a definitive one. It's not going to be one that says, oh, this is how reality is built. This is the base of this reality. The base of this reality is all men are assholes, and now I have to find somehow
one of these freaks.
Yeah, exactly. Which one do I control and manipulate, right?
No, not me. I love it. Yeah, with Pock and Pot, I'll do that during the day when I find a limiting belief come up. You know,
Nice.
like
That's
if I
amazing.
walk in a room and I'm like, oh, I'm not successful, or just whatever the belief is. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, Pock Pod, Pock Pod, Pock
Beautiful.
Pod. Just
Yeah.
kind of breaking it. And I feel like it's a really simple, easy practice for noticing the limiting beliefs and then just kind of breaking them
Yeah.
and just kind of like flicking them off my consciousness,
100%.
which is so
100%.
helpful. But yeah, the bars have been crazy. It's almost like EMDR a little bit.
I never tried that, but
Yeah.
I
Because it's
hear
almost like
similar.
you kind of hit on both hemispheres of the brain, and by activating both hemispheres of the brain, you reprocess the feeling and the emotion using your prefrontal cortex. But it's interesting with bars because it's like with EMDR, you have it reprocessed as an adult, as an example. So if you were a child and you were abandoned by your mother, you know, you have this one-sided perspective of that. You're like, my mom abandoned me, my mom abandoned me. But with your prefrontal cortex, you're able to say like, my mom was really, really busy and overwhelmed, and I know she loved me, but wasn't able for me. So it's kind of like helps you repattern.
Interesting.
But with access consciousness, it's like a complete reset.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It just deletes it for you.
Yeah.
Altogether.
Which is so good.
And it's amazing. I do want to mention that it has incredible physical benefits. Like it reduces inflammation. It reduces anxiety, obviously. It reduces depression. It reduces your time to recover even from a physical workout. It's incredible.
Wow.
It's just jet lag.
Mm.
Jet lag, like you do bars, jet lag is gone.
I remember we had a
incredible.
session and I went to get a facial after. And so they took a before picture of me and after.
Right.
And before I was like, and then I looked worse after.
Really?
Yeah, after my facial. Like I looked actually better before because of my bars. And she was like, huh, this is interesting. Like even she could see. She was like, well, we'll just keep this for our thing. I was like, I kind of liked how I looked better. I looked so awake and like vital and young. Well, this has been amazing and I
Yes.
love you, and we'll do another for sure. What is one or two things you want to leave with our audience, women that are on the path, that are spiritually curious, that want to deepen their purpose and connect more with life?
I think commit to choosing to appreciate yourself. Appreciate yourself and choose and fully receive that you can always have a better experience. Not from a sense that you're lacking or not having a great one right now, but it can be so much more enriching, so much more fulfilling, so much more healthy, so much more honoring of you. Like really choose it. Choose that.
And where can people connect with you?
MichaelOcher.com.
How do you spell Ocher?
Ocher.
Boring.
Yeah.
MichaelOcher.com?
Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram. Michael Ocher. So.
Pops off.
Yeah.
Well, I love you. This has been fun.
Thank
I'm
you so
grateful
much.
for
Love
you.
you too.
I appreciate you.
Highly appreciate
All right,
you.
guys, we'll see you on the next one. Love you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. We love you so deeply. We appreciate you. He'll be on for another one. You can also find episodes with other Kabbalah teachers like David Guillaume. If you want to search David Guillaume, Almost 30, we have a few episodes with him. And then definitely send this to a friend. I think this is fascinating because a lot of us probably haven't heard of theta healing or access consciousness. And so this is a really, really good one to check out.
Thank you all for listening. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. We have 2 episodes every single week. And follow us on YouTube. We are on video. Zoom in. We're on
Zoom
video,
in,
baby.
baby.
No, but we'd love to see you on YouTube. Means the world. And then follow us on Instagram and on the TikTok. We're on there too. We love you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. It's been nearly 10 years. Cannot believe it. We're so grateful. And we'll see you on the next one.
We'll see you soon, guys. Bye.
Bye.